supplying. So this is now utilized it. I'm sure all of you here, at least in Delhi audience, would have been to Kashi Vishwanath, the new temple. The prasad was being made there. So they turned around and said that if we are doing this, why don't we, make the prasad there? So the ritual is the Pandit does the morning aarti at 4 o'clock and 3:30, and then the Bilpatra is put into the mithai and the prasad is made. So if you go recently, if anyone has been recently, last 4, 5 months, 6 months, you'll see the dabba there, the prasad is one side Kashi Vishwanath, the other side Amul. Now that's very for those who go. For the general purpose is not known. So we were sitting, this is Mr. Mehta, who's the managing director now. He started his career when we were group managers. He was a product executive and now he's a very bright mind. So he said, listen, what do we do? Last night Avinash was there listening to the story. So he said, what do we do? How do we popularize this? So they said, I will take only one newspaper. I will try the experiment with one newspaper. And when I tell you the story, you see many, many myths being broken. On Shivratri day, I will say that I will deliver in the 10, 12 cities with Swiggy Instamart. I think it was Swiggy Instamart. We'll deliver Kashi Vishwanath Prasad at your home. So only one newspaper. So while I'm talking to magazine guys, but the principle is what is more important. One newspaper and ad was done, that Kashi Vishwanath Prasad at your home on this thing. The ad must have been worth whatever the value of the ad. You all guys know the value is very cheap for CPG companies. 4.5 crore responses.
4.5 crore
worth of value.
Wow.
So if you take 400, 500 rupees for a half kilo pack, you can understand. Swiggy Instamart that day went vegetarian. We will not deliver non-veg stuff that day. Now, the message I want to give is that look at it this way. No spends on digital, no spend anywhere else. One newspaper, one title. Yeah. That's the power of your medium. So what does it say? 3, 4 myths broken. Old people don't know internet. They don't order. Correct? Old people read conventional media like print and magazines. Young people don't read. I don't know where the truth is. Where the truth is. Correct? So empowered with this, we did another experiment. And it's a very powerful experiment. So we said, they have today the big craze on protein. They make protein out of, cheese waste, what they call whey. Protein is made out of them, a very powerful drink. And so they don't sell it anywhere else except their own shop, shop.amul.com. That's the only place they sell. For reasons, because Amul is basically a milk and other company. Out of the 80,000 crore company, the bulk of the products come from there. This is all, value adds to create an image and profile. So buoyed with the success of this Kashi Vishwanath experiment, they said, fine, this is, the huge emotive connect with Kashi Vishwanath. Let's try protein. Protein is young people product, 25-year-old. Nowhere it was advertised. It was advertised only on same newspaper. Same newspaper advertised 2.5 crores. Every time you put the ad, 2.5 crores worth of sales, they have a stock out. They can't supply. That product is never available. So this is the power of the print medium. They do it. It comes on Amul, shop.amul.com. It's sold there. So there are many examples. I'm just giving some. So I think what I say that we have probably need to have faith in ourselves rather than.
Absolutely. I mean, Srini talked about how Vikatan is relevant to the geography of Tamil Nadu and how he talked about the personal finance product and how a certain columnist got almost 1,000 crores in management by just being a columnist in Vikatan, right?
Very famous columnist, yes. Yes. Even today, people want translations. People say, why don't you translate and share with us? I would do that for Joe.
So also the community that Mr. Sharma from Accenture talked about, that every print product or magazine has a certain community. Vivek from India Today and Manoj from India Today are here. And there is a certain affinity to the brand, and the brands have kept pace and come up with, the guy from ET used the word services, value-added services, but things that are of value to the community. Now, one of the example while we were preparing is, there is this magazine called GR8. It may not be doing that well right now, but you created the Indian Television Academy Awards with them, right? They had the encatchment of the television fraternity and they used it to create a big IP on television. So how do you think magazines can continue to be on that path of encashing on their brand value and encashing on the audiences that have affinity with them?
So there's a great example. I don't know I think you mentioned that in some way I've worked with them, with Shachiranjan, Anuranjan. So I know them extremely well. So I think the larger point is not just great. I think the point is that, today there is a huge amount of credibility, equity, and longevity with the content which people are putting out, be it magazines, example, Vikatan you gave, they're everywhere. As a kid, I used to read Manohar Kanya. I mean, you may laugh at me, but I used to read Manohar
मैं
Kanya.
तो अभी भी चंपक पढ़ता हूँ सर.
As an adult, I read Caravan. So I'm not, this is not a plug for that group, but that's the truth. That's what it is. So the point I'm making is this is powerful content. There is also, in a way, along with content, there's credibility, there's longevity, they understand the content, and also their faces. Maybe what the magazines have not done as TV has done. I mean, they've made stars out of individuals. So, like we got an example. Now, Palki Sharma is a big name on television. Everyone here, all the anchors are. Maybe there's merit in building stories around people. I know it has downsides. I know what the implications are. But there is huge, with people when we grew up. Prabhu
So what
Chavda.
are influencers?
Yeah,
They are,
I mean,
Mr. Sharma talked about that magazines and the influencer economy have a lot in common.
the today's influencers, exactly. I don't know, Mr. Sharma said it, but today's influencer not a patch on the kind of influencer sitting on your legacy influencer sitting there. And I gave this Amul example, we believe in this. Believe me, in a company which does not, the example I gave, I'm not bullshitting. Not one paisa spent on digital marketing. All on conventional media. The response you get is huge. And this is e-commerce response. This is not some likes and all. This is pretty sale. 4.5 crores worth of Prasad sold is not a thing. Look at the sentiment in the country now. Whether it's young people ordering, old people ordering, all that I can tell you, but it's immaterial. So you are sitting on a cache of equity. What you call influencers, I call, Dilip Bob, many, many people. I mean, you name them, I can rattle them off. Or from the Hindi space or whichever.
So what should magazine publishers do to be able to get a better value from agencies and
So
advertisers?
the
How do they
problem
get a bigger
is
slice?
most agencies unfortunately don't understand the power of, they go by simple mindset of IRS, which is not come for the last 6, 7 years. We're trying to revive it. Hopefully, if you're successful.
Vivek has been not meeting me saying I'm busy bringing out IRS. Every time I call him, he says, I'm IRS निकालने में लगा हुआ हूँ.
Mr. Malhotra is doing many things at the same time, whether it's BARC or IRS, which I keep him under close scrutiny to know what is happening in the industry. I have to keep close tabs on him. So, but that apart, I think so. One thing is the tragedy is that young planners and young marketing people in brands don't understand the power of print. I have my favorite example. One wrong story anywhere. You see how they come running. You put a story which is, somewhere which go India Today, you put a story that this went wrong. My God, there'll be mayhem. They'll come after you. Huh? I've seen it myself. So many of my clients, without naming them. So there is a power in the medium, there's credibility, whether it's magazine. So I think if you look at, as you said, someone said in the morning, if you look at all the stars power you have, harness them. I mean that's again some newspaper example. That Hindu. I mean, I ask them to every week. I read that paper because the fellow who writes it, what's his name? He does a funny story every week. He does, no? What's his name? I forget the name. So there is so much equity lying in all your magazines, which has to be leveraged. Then you once decide, then you convert it into an award. You convert like Grid did, or you do it into a fraternity thing. The problem is you have to engage media people in an interesting manner.
And you bring out, since television and TRPs and IRS, even in whatever be the rating system, it was always said that specialist channels would not
When it starts, whenever it starts, there is an opportunity for premium stroke homes to cater to that.
And also today, Mr. Sharma talked about, because he was from Accenture, he's not a publisher. That's why I'm using his name, that he made that there is ad avoidance in digital. 72% people are trying to avoid ads. 45% have actually put digital ad blockers. So the lean experience of magazines, uh, why are we not being able to convince advertisers about it? What are we not doing right, sir?
As an industry, you got to do something. So, firstly, I'll say there is a problem that our young people, I'm saying from my own company, my leadership team was sitting, and there's some seasoned people. I don't mind taking names. The people are seasoned. About this is a 2 week old story. We were doing, and I was discussing something, and I lost my shirt. I said, "What is this?" I actually shouted, I said, "You guys, you've forgotten the medium." You know, so I think there is some amount of, and you owe it, and we owe it to ourselves and to our clients that some kind of reorientation is required. What's happening? There are many, many. I mean, I give you that you don't necessarily have to wait for IRS to come out or not, in spite of Vivek Sharma's efforts, Vivek Malhotra's efforts. But the point is that
Deadly combination. Mix Manoj Sharma with Vivek Malhotra, and there is Vivek Sharma. I don't know what will happen to the world, but it'll be a better place.
The point is, there are many ways you can do it. You can say, this is the contacts we are doing, these are what our influencers are doing, this is the reach of the influencers. There are many, many metrics you can say. And I'll tell you, you will find success through that Amul example of I gave you of the Kashi Vishwanath. No one can take it away. The results are there. I mean, finally, it's end. 4 crore, 4.5 crores worth of sales is not a joke on one day.
In a single,
So I'm sure
single
if you
medium.
start doing 50 things, you'll find many ways of doing it. My summation is this industry owes it, and we are willing to help in whatever manner. Our young people don't understand print and magazines. Clients don't understand because the most global companies come from a mindset of this is, should I say, digital is the global world, digital will work here. Digital, there's no measurement, no one knows many things, as you said. What you're saying is one part.
I'm not even getting into ad fraud and bots. That's another area.
Also, where your content is going, all that. I mean, there's so many issues there. And it's so fragmented. Who knows what the reach is, here. I mean, the days were there when my client Bajaj would book all the back pages of
India Today.
India Today for years, It's not that the audience has changed. So I think this content is what is powerful. You guys understand content. You guys are masters of content. You have to learn how to evangelize that content with agencies and with clients.
Maybe AIM, we should do small cohorts with each agency as a magazine fraternity, and of course the brands representing.
I'm happy to sit and work and come out, because it pains me when you see, and I'm talking for myself, I'm not talking for you, that when 2 weeks back in my team, no one is clued in there, all kinds of stuff is being discussed.
So it brings me to another issue. Since the morning, there is this theme of commerce that if you take Google and Meta, because they're able to correlate between spends and purchase, though there has to be a healthy balance of brand building and performance. How do you think magazine publishers who exactly know who the subscriber is online, who the subscriber of the magazine is, can then become marketplaces, can become in some way?
Very well said. Very well said. Firstly, I take it with a pinch of salt that Google and Meta can do the correlation. Maybe I'm old fashioned. I don't know this. Yes, Swiggy and 5 others can do it. I'm not sure whether these guys can do it, but let's assume what you're saying is right. But I think they can't be, and I keep going back to that Manoj Kania example. What is your reach on digital or on this thing for Manoj Kania or Title Sarita or whatever? Total digital plus print combined with the physical copy. So I mean saying, and there's a catchment which is known to all of you, India Today you take. You have a huge catchment. I'm a big believer of CRM. We are doing a lot of, I don't know, both the audience, we are doing so many experiments on CRM, And I believe that if you start building that profile, I've gone to many publishers, I've gone to Rajan Patrika, many publishers that listen, you know your customer, you build a profile, you build a relationship with them. Clients will come to you directly. If tomorrow you tell Hero Motorcycle that, I will do a package with you or Bajaj, they will, if nothing else, they will start seeing, these are my customers. In those catchments, you build credibility, you build trust, you build a story, you build content. So, I'm rambling. Let me give you the positioning we are taking for ourselves. I will say, and this is an opportunity. I'll say something. I will not name them. In the last 2 months, two CEOs of large companies, my clients, it's coincidental. Two CEOs of large companies and one CMO of a very, very large company, India's, blue chip companies, have said to us, creative agency business is dead. Why do you have a creative agency? Think about it. I'm not saying it. So fortunately for us, while we're a mid agency, we have a large content capability. We have, and the amazing thing is in our content team, they do very, like this morning, I was doing a big presentation. And the content guys is very simple stuff, but they understand tech. So in my 80 member teams, we are about 2,000 strong, 80 people are creative, out of the 80, 50 are creative, 30 are tech. So they understand creative tech. So we were working a positioning for ourselves. With this exercise, I was telling you my leadership team, and the positioning we arrived is, in a way, is what we are saying, content to conversion. Now, who better than people sitting in the room who can do content to
I
conversion?
mean, if you want to talk about Kerala,
Yeah.
can anybody deliver better than them?
No, I'm saying today we are saying content to conversion when we don't have the platform. You guys have the platforms. This is the era of platforms. Each one of you have the platforms. So if you, and I'm willing to share because at my age and stage, I'm at this feel that if you guys do well, we will do. Original, as Parejji will know, agencies came, the publishers did well, we did well. The 15% commission came from the publishers, didn't come from this thing. So in my opinion, the more we evangelize this, we are dead believers we greatly believe in this content to conversion. The power is with you. The platforms are yours. Some of you and most of you are invested in technology. It's just that how you can take the asset. All this Swiggy, Shiggy and all is all fine. You start doing it yourself, you'll find what the conversion. The conversion doesn't necessarily mean that you sell. That could be a possibility. We are doing CRM. If you have, with your permission, I hope you don't mind. आपकी सवाल है तो मैं, So we are today just to bring a mindset in the company. There are many pilots we are doing. One pilot we're doing, not pilot, this is experiment we're doing. No one knows this. Skoda is not a client of ours. Skoda is a global line now. Sorry, it'll become a sister company hopefully in the next 2-3 months. But we, for the last 6-7 years, work with Skoda. We do end to end. They give us the digital leads. Our people look at those leads, contact them, then do a CRM. And CRM is not telecalling, is not a simple thing. Telecalling also has a creative side to it. And we are finally paid on the dashboards. The dashboard, the dealer level. You believe the money is small. We are breaking even, not making profit. I'll give you 3-4 examples of this. 15% or 16% of Skoda sales all over the country come through us. Skoda is not a big seller, but the fact of it is 15-16%. I'll give you another example. Why we're doing this? We're doing this to evangelize. My team should learn this. Zodiac, 40-year-old client of ours, maybe more. They had a website. We said to them, listen.
It's now part of Raymond.
No, it's not part. As we said, listen, we will do the website for you. We will sell it. We will sell. You don't give us media money. Think no agency will do this. We don't give us media money.
Sir, ऐसी practices क्यों निकाल रहे हो?
But just no, because our teams are learning. And
there are agencies who कहती हैं हम आपको पैसे भी देंगे, कम से कम आपने वो तो नहीं किया.
नहीं सुनो ना. We said what? 25% of GMV you give us.
Whatever is passed through, whatever.
No, जो आप बेच रहे हो वेबसाइट पे हमारे पास 25%.
merchandise.
This is a धंधा mindset we are teaching our people. First 2 years we made a loss. Now we're making money and the upside is huge. तो पहले उनका धंधा 1-2 करोड़ था, साल का 25-30 करोड़ हो गया है. So it's a training. We are selling Oberoi room nights. We are selling till the time Citibank registered credit cards on performance. So there is a mindset there. There is a market there. And these are premium customers. Most of you will have good quality customers. See, anyone who is literate, इस बार तो IRS में मतलब knows we're knocking off illiterate.
Content to conversion.
Correct. That's the line we have used for ourselves. So if we can do it, distant from you guys are platform owners, content owners, platform owners, आपको क्या चाहिए?
Shashi ji, बिल्कुल ठीक बोल रहे हैं सर. Shashi ji, I'll ask the last question, maybe take 1 or 2 questions from the publishers and advertisers in the room. What is the overall direction the industry is moving in? And again, are there future predictions that you want to make for the industry? Because you've seen it in last 4 decades, you've seen it through various phases. Where is it headed? So will there be a duopoly in India? Will there be a certain player that will monopolize this business? What will happen?
So firstly, I am not one of those big, deep thinkers. I'm a more hands-on man so I'm not qualified and competent. But having said that, let me give a view. And
आप आईआईटी कानपुर गए थे, उसके बाद आईएम बैंगलोर गए थे, तो वैसे
there is no
लेकिन उसका
criteria.
कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है.
There is no
And then
criteria.
he got his
बड़ी मुश्किल से pass.
IIM Bangalore most distinguished alumni. So, but
And
वो
I
सब
also, but most that's no criteria. वो तो धक्के गलती से निकल गए. I was the director of कानपुर IIT कानपुर, उसने कुछ कार्ड पे काउंसिल बनाई है. मैंने कहा आपने मेरे को क्यों डाला, मैं तो बड़ी मुश्किल से पास हुआ था. तो so I am no crystal ball, no big thinker and all that. I personally believe these two big platforms of Google Meta you're referring to. I think at some point in time, see, there is lack of data and people are doing, no one knows what the results are. As far as Meta is concerned, still there's a story in the influencer economy they're operating on and Instagram and all that. At some point in time, finally, it's your content and your platforms. It'll take time, but if you invest in it and you be it, there'll be no one better than you guys. Please see the quick commerce guys are doing it. They're taking away all the money.
they're becoming advertising plus.
They-
Zepto is
they-
1200
they-
crores of advertising revenue on it.
So they cut us out of the thing. But I think there is merit for those of you involved. My mind says, I'm not a prediction person, but there'll be no duplicate. It has to be, this business is about, see, the other thing is, this country, the economy of this country is still the top 1,500, 1,000, or 500, 300 advertisers. As the MSMEs grow, just now they're going to YouTube because Google, because no one knows better, search. But at that point in time, when you give multiple options and you guys have the platform capability to reach them. See, the other thing is in your markets, you know who the advertiser is, who the small guy is, whom you can reach the retail section. That's a huge opportunity. India, at some point in time, the SMEs have to grow. And that's an opportunity. So I am not a believer of two companies, Meta and Google, dominating.
Thank you. We can take some questions. Girish wants to ask a question. Girish, can we get a mic too?
Yeah, Mr. Sinha, the question was regarding the Zodiac example you gave. Let me speculate what you must have done. So basically, you did performance marketing to get those numbers, or if you did content, what exactly did you do? Because if it is performance marketing led thing, for example, there are a lot of new age D2C founders who can take the mandate from Zodiac and do a better job than what any agency or anybody at your end can do, because they've lived that reality. Okay, most of them are doing a reasonably commoditized product, but very good. They're at the cutting edge of performance marketing, and they're able to deliver for their own brands. They can easily scale up, do it as a different business venture, and do it for, say, Zodiac or any other entity. So how is your game different of what you're offering Zodiac, and why can't some other D2C founder pitch to them and they can do a better job than what we can? Because most of us don't have. For example, I've got mandates from Dell
I think
to do it.
so.
I
He's
don't
saying,
agree with you at all. So part of my saying so. So I may be old fashioned. I tell you what I believe in. When I said content to conversion, firstly, performance marketing by itself to me has no meaning. I will not mention one of the biggest founders said to me, ecom founder said to me, if you don't build the brand, this whole thing of only performance. I'm a big believer that you have to have a brand image before you get, correct? And Zodiac, just because they're known offline, doesn't mean there'll be no well-known online or whatever. I believe there's a huge opportunity in the building a brand image, which we understand. Correct? We don't understand performance as well as someone else does. We understand through the line very well. And someone who, I can tell you many, many examples of, we're a large organization, we work with multiple people, we lose business, we win business. There are many, many clients we have worked with, they're only performance, only brand, through the line. End of the day, consumer, what was the Amul example? Was it a performance example? Was it a brand example? What was it that Kashi Vishwanath Prasad example? Tell me. These are all labels we have given. This is performance marketing. I don't know what it is. Is it a brand building example? Is it a performance marketing example? What is it? So I believe that there is a certain through the line, and we are some core. What is that Skoda example? Skoda, you can say it's only performance. In my mind, that I've not revealed the entire case to you. I've not talked about the entire case. There's a strong element of brand in it.
okay, Girish, anybody else? Vivek? Yeah, Srini, can you pass on the mic here?
Sashi ji, while there are a few icons like you who are left who are still thinking on these lines, as brand before performance. Most brands today, when you approach the client, they simply want to know, for how much I spend, how much business will I get from you? I mean, as far as print is concerned, it's a completely different ball game. We are only selling events, and we are bundling up everything along with events. Literally, there is no sale of print alone. I mean, I'm being very practical here. But when it comes to digital, and when we try and sell digital, they are very clear. Okay, how much performance can you give me? How much money do I need to put for me to get how much business? How much can you convert for me? It sounds almost incredulous. We try to tell them that, we are not a Google, we are not a Facebook, we do not have hundreds of millions in reach. We have probably 10 million MAUs. But with that, we will not be able to commit the kind of performance numbers that you want. So CPM is out the door. It is all, it is, ROAS or whatever it may be. It becomes very difficult to
So it's how you define ROI and performance. That's why that's the question I was answering. What is the metric of performance? Can Google tell you how much sales you made?
I'm given to understand that if you spend 500, you're able to get 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever. I mean, that's what they tell us.
Maybe you want to do some homework. So this performance is a very maligned. So I'll give two inputs to you. See, if you play on that turf, you can never win. It's a large turf, it's a volume turf, the big boys are not playing. If you notice what I said, is Google master of content? They're not, it's someone else's content, correct? See the position a Lallu company like ours is made for us as content to conversion. There's a big opportunity there. Now, I'll say two things to you. Firstly, what is performance is very debatable. If you start building your own stories of whatever you define as performance, there are many interim stages of performance before you come to sale. Second is what I said to you is very powerful. Hear me, I don't mind naming names because it's a large forum. They'll feel this thing. Very, very big CEOs asking this question. They're asking what is happening. So, to his point or performance, I'm telling you, a startup founder said to me, whenever I do only performance, I get more sale. It's all very good. So, because the metrics are such, So finally, they're asking questions and maybe I'm wrong. I hope and pray I'm not. But at my old age, this cannot change. That I genuinely believe what I call through the line. There is a role for brand, there's a role for what you call conversion, which is why I have philosophy of content to conversion. So I believe so you're mixing up two issues. One issue is, or at least calling out two issues. One issue is that you're competing with Google, you find your own mountain. But there are various layers of what you call performance, which I call content to conversion.
I think I would just add that at many E4M conferences, this questions, brand building versus performance comes up, and CMOs have said on stage that both matter. It's not either or. So we also want branding, we also want performance. We just don't want performance. So clearly with digital, with print, with events, they're looking at branding and performance.
That's your strength. Your content is with you.
And like influencers, your personal finance writer, I've forgotten his name, the one you showed on the slide. He's your influencer. I mean, if you can use him like that, he's got 1,000 crores, you said, in funds, without any advertising. So there's the proof of the pudding. I think we have to evangelize, we have to believe, and rightly so, the topic should be why magazines matter. Or magazines matter. Why magazines still matter? No. That's like we're raising a question mark. Magazines matter. That's my take. It shouldn't be why magazines still matter. Magazines matter. So I think there are no more questions for Shashiji. Any last question anybody wants to ask? If they're not, Shashiji, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the jury of the AIM E4M Maximize Award. Please give Shashiji a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Batra, for taking the charge of this one. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, please. And इसी के साथ it's time for our last session for today. While they get the stage ready, I will introduce it, and after that is the Maximize Awards. This session, it's on what modern marketers can learn from magazine storytelling. And to talk on the same, please join me in welcoming our panelists. First, Rajiv Dubey, VP and Head of Media, Dabur India. Joining him is Riyad Matthew, Chief Associate Editor and Director, The Week. Joining them is Avinash Pandey, Director, Lakshya Media Group. Also joining them is Manish Kumar Nagar, Director, Business Development, Triton Digital India. And this session will be chaired by Rohail Amin, Senior Editor, PW Business World. Let's please welcome them. Though I believe they are outside soon. Oh yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I was just, you're here. Everybody's here. I didn't actually see it. There are too many lights now, so you can't see. Don't start from there. Welcome them all. Morning, Asya.
So we can be on stage in the,
Hello.
we
Yeah.
can all join. Mr. Dubey.
Let's please welcome all our panelists up to the stage. आपके जोरदार तालियों के साथ everybody. You know, I'd said this in the morning, and I'm sorry, Rohil. I said in the morning that their collective experience deserves more applause and more energy from us in the room. Let's try again, no? Thank you.
So anywhere, I mean, your Vastu as per your whatever we'd like. Mr. Dubey is away, like 3 minutes away. He'll join us, but in the meantime, we'll start. All right. So it's all about storytelling, and since morning we have been hearing about the narrative, the powerful narrative, the storytelling power that magazines have, and of course they are known for their depth, emotional resonance, and well-crafted narratives, and something which brands are also looking for to connect with their audience. So there is a overlap of interest, and the topic is what modern marketeers can learn from magazine storytelling. So we have people who represent both ends and expert perspectives. Maybe I will, in the meantime, start with Avinash ji to begin with. You have, as a media expert, you have seen how storytelling has evolved over a period of time in various formats, and specifically talking about magazine storytelling. Where has it reached? Has it made itself relevant? Can they improve something? How do you kind of review it if you look at that?
See, I'm no one here to lecture on what magazine publisher should do. But one thing I can tell you, I started reading magazine when I was in a standard 4 or 5. I used to look for India Today, go to the stall in Patna and pick up that.
Five.
Yeah. I think it was 1980. Indira Gandhi has come back to power, and there was a lot of curiosity. And I used to read India Today, and so in my home, Manohar Kahani, I used to get subscribed. Sarita used to get subscribed. So I have been reading magazines since then, and today I read the only Indian magazine that I religiously read is Caravan. And not to plug anything with Anant, who is a dear friend, but this is one magazine that I read. Now, if I look at consumer myself, and if I look at what people are consuming today, the problem that magazine publisher need to define that whom they are addressing to, the product that they are making, who it is for, and what job it is supposed to do. No product can survive in this world if it does not very clearly define what job it is supposed to do. To give an example, a brand which I am very I love it. It is not from the magazine or publication or television where I worked most of my life. Is Starbucks. They designed the venti and the
All right. Yes, this feels like, yeah. What you said that they need to know their target audience. In the morning, there was a session by Mr. Neeraj Sharma. He, in fact, stressed that we need that verticals, we need that community building to really cater to and make it alive and find the readers, not just on the print side. We have to go and reach them wherever they are, right? So we need to reinvent. Coming to you, Mr. Matthew, how compelling journalism shapes reader perception. We all know about that. What can marketeers learn from an editor's approach to constructing narratives and storytelling, according to you?
Right, thanks. I think first I just want to answer you what you said about, you're saying there's news from everywhere, there's social media news, there's other news, why magazine? Well, we all saw Operation Sindoor and the coverage which happened around it, right? Why? Exactly. So if you want a fake audience, if you want an audience that's going to consume, who thinks India has blown away Pakistan, who's not going to consume, who doesn't know the truth, more than welcome to advertise on all these platforms. Like Shashi ji earlier said, the credibility of print is something which we are all very proud of. And I'm giving a recent example of Operation Sindoor. If you can, I can go back and give you, each month I can give you one example of how different forms of communication have misinformed people, for the lack of a better word. But like I said, it's all about the credibility. And Shashi, who better to talk about marketing and the trust in print than a person like Shashi? But if I just want to take it a step forward between print, I agree that it's work we got to do. And I think a lot of people have done a lot of work which will appeal to not just their clients, but also the marketing thing, which is build communities. We had some examples today by Srini on what he's done. But there are others in this room, other publishers who've done fantastic work. What really amazes me seriously, like now Shashi spoke about the power of print and the credibility, and then you put magazine in this context, right? One is from a storytelling point of view, which we often refer to as explanatory journalism. So one is the engagement that you have, the audience or the reader has with you, right? One of the engagement, more than print, it's more than a newspaper, is engagement that a reader has with a magazine. You add to that the shelf life. It's not just a day. You have a weekly, we have a fortnightly, those kind of things. So the advantages of a magazine over a newspaper, the explanatory format we can do, there's so many advantages. And if anyone is here, like all of you here for the last session, the advantages of a print as against what he asked about, what does magazine offer? I think the question was answered in the last session.
Manish, we talk about magazines reinventing, and you know that space well. Give me a sense of when you gave them that idea of podcasting, or you helped them, spread the word using the podcasting formats, right? You offer them something more than the print, right, to magazines, right? So give me a sense of some success stories that magazines have had with that diversification of content, diversification of platforms. They're not just on in print or on digital, they are beyond, they're in audio formats. Are there any success stories in terms of numbers that you would like to share?
Sorry. So basically, currently I'm representing Triton Distill, which is a global podcast distribution platform. And we have almost around 2,000 publishers on board.
Rajiv, please join us. Yes. No problem. Okay.
And out of these 2,000 publishers, I can say that almost around 75 publishers belongs to either newspaper or magazine groups. So magazine, like the content, they are promoting it through different ways. They have YouTube channels, they have podcasts, and nowadays when you have Google LM kind of things or many AI platform, you can convert your content in multiple languages. So that way, I think going new boundaries or thinking beyond your own country, I think it's a good way. And you have huge history of content, which is there from last, I think, 100 years of content you have. So if you convert all these things and create a history content only, then it can be a good content piece for multiple other countries as well. and you have language, so then you can promote that.
Are magazine publishers open to experimenting? How open are they to experimenting according to you?
So there are few publishers, like I remember one publisher, Newsweek, which was almost in 2015 announced the last print edition. They have printed one magazine with this headline. But after again, they have came back and then started print edition. And they are, in terms of overall website, I can say they are the number 4 website globally in terms of Google ranking. So content is the thing which I think magazine publishers should focus on, and how people are consuming this content on different ways. Those ways should be monetized properly. That's, I think, is it.
Right. Mr. Dubey, this is, we're talking what modern marketeers can learn from magazine storytelling. And my question to you is that Dabur has a rich legacy built on trust and tradition. How can magazine storytelling help brands like yours refresh heritage without losing their core identity?
So first of all, sorry for being late. I was doing a market, not in these clothes. I was wearing a different shirt and everything. And I changed my clothes inside my car while coming. I just in Govinda style. You've seen that movie? Govinda changes his clothes and comes to a place. And I really got stuck somewhere. I was thinking that I was not able to make it. That was one story I wanted to tell you before we start.
This is all about storytelling, yes.
And similarly, like my company has been there for 140 years, and we have stood the test of times across generations. Probably the company started when my great-great-great-grandfather was alive, and all of us, I think, we have survived because, we have told a story to consumers. We have told a story about immunity. We have told a story about well-being. We've told a story about living a good life and having a nice hair. You can use our products to brush your teeth. You can build your immunity through Chyawanprash. And that storytelling is something which has always remained with us. And that story is what we tell to the new Gen Z now in their own language, at their own pace of consumption, and their own format. So I think it's a process of evolution when you evolved. When a product evolves, it has to become relevant to the current set of consumers in their own format. So I've grown up reading magazines. I first brush with magazine was when I was like very small. My dad used to buy a few magazines like this. To be magazine called Dharmyug. And then there used to be a magazine called Sarita, which used to come to our house, and then Illustrated Weekly. And we have grown up reading these magazines. When I started working, I used to get some 20 magazines for free, because since I was in media and, to get all these magazines. Now they stopped coming. I only get India Today and Week nowadays. And I just love reading these magazines because there's a different aspect to every story, which one must learn, That's what stands the test of time. I think format in which the story is told, that will keep changing, that will keep evolving. But, the storytelling will remain. That's what my take is, that I don't know, probably the format in which it is presented to us, that format has to change. I still, I get, there's one reporter in Reuters, he sends me a story every day, He writes a story and he has completely different take on whatever we read and whatever we see in the press today. He has completely different take. And those stories I'd love to read because, he's a different take. That's what magazines do. That's what they used to do. Whenever I used to read India Today, it used to be a very descriptive story about whatever is happening in the country. Even today, if I read Caravan magazine, I find that the depth of the journalism which it has, the kind of stories it has completely different take. So they will be takers for these stories. But ultimately, what will happen is that content is something which will what will drive this format, either in the written format or in digital format.
Mr. Pandey, tell me, what are the risks modern marketeers face when they ignore narrative cohesion in favor of fragmented content strategies?
You mean branded content?
Yes.
Ask
Yes.
Rajiv, is there?
I want your perspective as well.
Sir, this is what he wants to do with the magazines. Well, see, I have done a lot of ad sales, both for print and television and digital. Most of the time, when a brief comes from client side or the agency side, the brief comes like this, that we have to sell this product. We are launching this. Now I want your anchor to speak this. I want my product to be placed here. Why don't you just interview our chairman or, cover our launch and run it on your channel and all that. Even while I was judging the magazine awards, a lot of features were entered as an innovations, which I gave a 0 point. Okay. Now, the art is this, that a brand marketer should state its problem. We Indians have a big problem the way we are educated. We don't know how to ask questions. Because if you ask the right question, you are often will get a solution, a right answer. So once a question is put in a constructive way to a media company saying that these are our problems, go back end and design something which is worth readable or watchable. The brands benefit, the product sells, and you get the audience. You don't lose the audience. I'll give you 2 examples here, which we did. At ABP, we had a client called Dhanuka. They are agriculture, they produce these khad or something like that, whatever, seed, I think, whatever. And they had a problem saying that, we want to go public, we want to build our image and all that, etc. They gave us their problem. They wanted a early prime time, which was very difficult for us to give to. But we said the only reason we'll do it is that agriculture is a wide topic, but we'll produce it. You will not come in the way of content, but we'll deliver you the result. And that happened. That program got more rating than my usual show used to get at that time. So it went to spike. The client brand became popular. The amount of response that he got, he finally threw a party for us. So that what a phenomenal response that we have got. And the second one problem, middle of the pandemic, I went to a big corporate house in India who had an image problem. It is probably India's biggest corporate company today. And when we went there, they narrated a problem to us saying that how do we build our image? We said we can do this, but you will not come in the way of content. And our Dibang, well-known anchor, narrated that story. Anju Juneja, who produced Pradhan Mantri series, produced that film, and phenomenal work. The client is happy. So I'm saying in magazines, even while judging the award, I found a lot of work. And particularly, I must tell you, the companies from South are really, really doing great work. The kind of work that I saw from our South publications, amazing work with the clients. So if you allow the creativity to rest within the magazine house, I think the brands will benefit. The moment the brands start saying that, okay, they also become creative director and editor, then it's a problem.
I'll tell you what happens, Avinash. What happens is that we want everything to look like our ads, right? Yeah. So if I'm telling you, giving you a brief, I'm not looking at you as a news channel. I'm looking at you as somebody who will replicate my ad and put it on air. And same thing with any other format like magazine or something. So that's the problem. That's the problem with us.
So do you really allow publishers to have that freedom, by the way?
No, never.
Exactly.
Why so?
Because, so I'm not the only one who works. I'm just like at the bottom of the food chain, so like there are brand managers, there are marketing managers, there are people who think that, that their story should be told in their own way. I think what happens is that they want their brand.
This is what happens to journalists from PR agencies, and they give you questions to ask, when you go for interviews.
Yeah.
I think it's a similar kind of situation.
Yeah.
Mr. Mathiv, we have an we are in an attention-starved world. How do you balance storytelling with depth of engagement in this kind of a mix?
All right, just before I answer that, since you said that we're bad at asking, we don't know how to ask questions, or we don't ask questions. Let me ask you, you mentioned something about the format. You said magazine, you said in-depth journalism, but you said the format should change. Can you just elaborate on that? What exactly do you mean by format changing?
Yeah.
So what I mean is that, the format in which it is delivered to you, like so when you're reading a magazine, you're reading, say, a combination of various stories, right? What I'm saying is somebody writes a story to you and says that this is the story, this is the content piece. You love to read that. So that's maybe in a digital format.
Digital format.
Maybe in a digital format. Maybe it could be different ways of presenting. It could be in a video format as well, could be told in a video format in a
Right.
display.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us today are on all three, like this print plus digital plus events. So it's like you got to be available in all three, and the way you tailor make your news is up to you. You got to form your own community, right? At the end of the day, what does the advertiser look at? It's the community that you have and the community that he wants to target. So there are some people with the attention span who just wants the main, like someone said today this morning about while going to work, he just wants to get the gist of news, the gist of what's happening. So they just need 2 lines to say what's happening. So you probably use AI, or you probably get your journalist to put 1 or 2 sentences up, or you can use AI to kind of sum up. Then it's like slightly deeper articles, and then of course it's long format. So I think and this fantastic thing about magazines, I think, is because our journalists are given the freedom, are given I think, this just a daily update. I think any AI thing can do. Like when you talk about human intervention, the feelings, bringing the emotions in. These journalists are traveled. They interact with people who have been in the scene, who have heard stories from people. It's all form of explanatory journalism, which can really capture someone, right? So I basically think in our field, I think we are well placed because we can offer all three. We can, using AI, we can get the people who have a problem with attention span, quick summary, someone who doesn't have so much of what wants to get a roundup during a day, offer that. And a true lover of reading proper journalism, loves long format, descriptive journalism. I think that is something which we specialize.
Mr. Kumar, Triton, tell me the story. What's Triton right now trying to disrupt? How has your journey been so far? What is Triton trying to disrupt, and how has the journey been so far?
So basically, if I talk about from India perspective, then idea is to take all the publishers on podcasting route and showing them that this is working in other markets. Like for India, I think for podcasting, it's a very nascent market. We have just started in India, but in other market, the publisher is making good money through podcasting as well. And the basic beauty of a platform is like when you're distributing your podcast, you're creating podcast, you distribute through us on all the platform like Spotify, JioSaavn, Apple, Google, all the places where people are listening audio. And our tool can monetize that inventory. So that's the advantage. And reach-wise, I can say that if you just convert that content in multiple language, so reach is no limit. You can put your podcast in US market, Germany, Asia, any kind of market. So, and US is almost around 10x of the rate which India has. So that way, if even you have few lakhs of listeners of your podcast in US market, you can make a good chunk of money through that. So that's an advantage in podcasting, I think.
Right. Okay, let me ask you, Mr. Dubey. We are all chasing numbers, virality, likes. In this kind of a world, what role do you see for slower, narrative-driven content in building long-term brand equity?
Do you like test match?
Not much.
Okay.
But I do watch it.
I like test match. I like test match. I even like T20 game as well, but everything has a place. And so one thing people say at one spectrum is that nobody has time and it's time only for 6-second content. But remember, the same people who watch 6-second content, they also watched Game of Thrones, which was like spread across 8 seasons and, over 80 episodes made up about 1.5 hours each. So I don't think it's a question of whether people have time or not. It's a question of, how interesting you make the content. And coming to the slow storytelling, obviously slow storytelling, you see that kind of content which is there on OTT. Some of them are like very slow build-up stories, but it ends up pretty well, etc., etc. So it like, I'm say every kind of content has a place, right? Every content has a place. It has different interest groups, and maybe at times it may interest to different sets of people. So you have to find your interest group, you have to find your cohort, and then target your content strategy and storytelling in that way. So I think, in short, every format has its own place, and there's nothing right or wrong, so as to say. It's about story.
Avinash-ji, how can media owners, collaborate better with marketers to co-create stories that deliver both editorial value and brand relevance? You spoke about, of course, having that independence, but is there a playbook that we can stick to?
See, as far as what I'm seeing a trend, which some of you spoke earlier today and in the last session also, I think Victor said this, that more and more today clients are looking at events where they sponsor events and they get ads in the magazine and they get coverage in the magazine of that event and all that. So the way things are moving right now in the disruptive world of what has happened because of the big tech and whatever is the input cost increasing of different companies. Rajiv is here, he will emphasize it on more. And the pressure coming on the top line and bottom line, resulting into less and less brand building activity. And please remember, magazine and television are similar in this way, that both build brands. Newspaper is for redemption, digital is for redemption, but the magazines and the television build brand. As a child, when I used to read India Today, there used to be an ad of Benzer on Bhulabhai Desai Road, a shop which sells clothes. When first time I went to Mumbai, I went to that shop. They build that over the years, So that's what magazines do. But now, if the magazines and the brands have to work together, because it's a magazine congress, I'm speaking purely in that context with my understanding about brand building, is that they have to co-curate content, because the normal full page ad is not going to come. So you tell a story like James Bond movie, where largely it is about Aston Martin car and Omega watches, but you build a narrative. Okay, you create a sequence of scenes. Similarly, the storytelling in the news or the feature section has to be in such a way so that it is readable. And there are tremendous amount of examples that is happening in television right now. I do not know how many of the audience knows here that most of the content that you see on reality content channels is paid for. Their advertising revenue from the free commercial time is almost nil to zero. Okay. The maximum amount, the entire money comes from the content. And that's where this is moving on. So the brand marketer, the publisher has to sit down and create interesting content where the brand narrative is one part of that. It does not have the control on the whole story. Then only it is going to work.
Before I move to my next question, I just want to do a quick check. Are there any questions in the room? Then I will time my conversation. Any questions for any of them? Okay, there are none. Okay, let me go to you. Do you think there's still a place for magazine style thought leadership and storytelling in the brand playbook, especially in niche or premium categories?
Of course there is. I'm sure there is. We also have niche magazines, which are in our group, which we have done really well, because you have a niche audience. Like you said, you target your customers, you target your brands, and you play with that. But I just want to come back to what Mr. Dubey said. He talked about Test cricket. And I think I'm glad he brought it up, because I think that's something of a genre of a magazine. And I'll tell you why. Because I think T20 cricket can be played by everybody, right? Magazines can play T20 cricket as well on a digital site, whatever. Where sometimes, and then there are people who just in social media who spread news, they can play the thing. Like, you're trying to hit on the leg side, it goes on the off side, you try to hit on the on side, it goes on the off side, but it's still a 4. Everyone plays that. Then you go to one-day cricket, more mature thing. But when it comes to Test cricket, I think this is where magazines are. This is when Test cricket, they say, separates the men from the boys. And I think that's where magazines are. So, yeah.
Can I ask you a question? No, no. So you are the only magazine publisher sitting on this dais, and you're speaking the least. So I want to understand from you, and Malayalam Manorama Group is the biggest group, and you have done wonder work, you know. So why don't you narrate us, which could be a lesson for Rajiv, so that he invests more money with you in terms of innovation and content creation with the brands?
This is not, I think he knows himself, because this is something which really amazes me, but I've never said it out. But you speak to some of the branding firms or marketing firms, they'll tell you, like, they said the juniors, they'll tell you, let's just go digital, right? But the seniors are convinced that brand building, or to some great extent, even consumption or converting happens when you go for print. There was an interesting debate, for marketing people, where a senior said that the returns that he gets from advertising in digital is just not justified. But his senior will have none of it, because he just listens to the junior most saying that they know the pulse of the market and that they're very wrong. So I don't need to tell him. I think if you all know the power of the magazines and power of print, which you all know, which brings me back to the $1 million question about why this is not getting converted. It could be the thing of the younger guy who's spending money for you saying that this works, while when this marketing genius said it really doesn't. So this is my take, and it will continue to be my take.
Sure.
I want to ask one. I don't know whether this idea is still alive or not, but there's the idea of Dastan Hub. Is it? So Dastan Hub. So basically, it's a group of all publishers who is sitting here. They have different genres of magazine, and they have women genre, which has 5 magazine. They have auto genre, which have 5-7 magazine. So Rajiv, sorry, I'm asking you, but suppose you buy network in digital. There is a network buy happen in digital where you buy news from different publisher. At the same thing, if we, like, magazine publishers can offer you, when they can give you 70 publication and they commit you some reach, and they give you the overall entire website universe as well. What is about this idea? How we should take this idea to the...
Yeah. So, I think, first of all, the power of magazine is still there in the language markets. I mean, by language markets, what I mean is that if you look at the Bengali magazines like, Anand Lok, Anand Mela, etc., there, those magazines still do very well. Malayalam Manorama group, again, those magazines do very well. Victon does very well. So these magazines have stood test of time because, the storytelling is very strong. The Puja numbers which ABP publishes, they are booked in advance. They are sold out in a day or two. I was just checking a few months back. They still have the same kind of demand. People keep it for years along with them. So there's still a lot of traction, and there's still a lot of traction as far as people who are willing to read magazines, etc., is concerned. Now, things coming to a company like ours. I mean, I was just thinking a lot when you were talking. I just was thinking, how can we approach? So what happens is, whenever magazines are sold to us, it comes as one magazine at a time. So one guy will come and say that, please take one ad, and that doesn't give me a solution. If you were to look at solution, like earlier we used to make a media plan, which used to cover like 3 women magazines, 2 English, 1 Hindi, 1 weekly, 1 monthly, 1 different interest magazine. So that used to be a media plan. Nowadays, it's just one knee-jerk reaction. You take one ad somewhere. That doesn't give you a solution. That's why, since you don't get a good solution, you'll never be able to find a good traction for a brand coming out of that. So until you reach a critical mass of advertising, you never get other thing. However, somehow, newspapers have cracked this code. Newspapers, it's not newspaper versus magazine, by the way. But what I'm saying is that newspapers have become a destination for premium products, and some of the premium products are still there in magazines. So like if you look at Maserati getting advertised, it doesn't use digital medium. It does not take YouTube. It advertises in newspapers. Look at new iPhone launch next month. They'll have an iPhone 17. They will advertise in newspapers. Same with magazines, perhaps. watches, high-end watches, they always go to magazines because, look and feel, the quality of print, etc., can't come out in newspaper. And the guys who are in digital they're very fleeting audience. They're very, very transactional, so as to say. So it's between transactional versus, long-term story building, etc. So long-term story building still, magazines will hold fort. However, if, I get a bunch of magazines together, combination of few, like a complete media plan, then I get a solution. Then I'm willing to look at that kind of solution. Then that will work very well.
Sure.
Just one suggestion that I have, Ruhel, through your platform. How many of you here subscribe to British Council Museum Library online? So one,
And
right? Just that. So if you subscribe to British Council Museum Library for a year, I think it costs around 1,500 rupees or something. You get about almost every magazine of the world. Okay. Now something like this, and you don't get most Indian editions. I like Economist, I read Spanish edition or European editions and etc. But I'm saying that if the magazines here create something like that, where you get all the magazines of Association of Indian Magazine and in readable format, easily accessible, then advertisers like Raji would be happy to insert ads in at least 10, 15 magazines because he knows that, okay, digitally also you're reaching to so many people at one go, and it would be easier for consumer because consumer is looking for content. The medium is not the a reason for not choosing a content. It's the content which sells, right? So whether it is in a printed format or readable format in your iPad or on your computer. So I think that will be the solution that.
Can I add to this?
Yes.
Growing up years, I used to live in Lucknow, and Lucknow, what used to happen is that we used to have these places where you could give 10 rupees in a month and you could take as many magazines to read. And you take a magazine and you read for a day, return it next day, and then you take another magazine. Those things they don't exist anymore. People have become like very.
maybe AIM can think of something like that.
So that kind of ecosystem. So I think, distribution, accessibility of magazines to younger audiences, I think if something can be thought about that aspect, accessibility to magazines is become an issue,
Right. So it's almost time's up. But I want a 30-second comment from everyone, starting with you, Mr. Mathew, on what modern marketeers can learn from magazine storytelling. 30-second answer.
Like they said, the entire day is about building communities, and we work closely with the advertisers. When you build these communities, some of our publishers already have, some are in the process of doing so. I think can do wonders for advertisers, provided they just get off this misconception that everything has to go to digital, which I explained why it doesn't really work. That's it.
You want to add something? 30-second, what modern marketeers can learn from magazine storytelling?
So one thing I feel which is very important for marketers these days is a lot of AI content is floating around in the web. And if you really want to create some original content, then I think magazine people are the ones who can do that for you.
Okay. Ajay, what punchline, last final comment?
Yaar, aap jitna marzi, whatever you tell the story and all that, finally everybody is selling a punchline, Thanda matlab Coca-Cola. So as Rajiv said, you can say this in 6 seconds and you can watch 90 minutes of 13 episodes of, a series. Finally, it's the art of storytelling, how you tell a story in what, and marketeers and the publishers are doing the same thing. Right? And the smart ones are one who are tying up together to tell a good, compelling story.
What marketers to learn? I think the only thing to learn over there is to be relevant in the business and to be there for a long term, no matter what. Survival. I think survival is something which is very hard for us. Also, survival is very hard. How we survive is because we try to talk to the new consumers, look at new markets, and that's the way to grow. I think that's one thing which will. That's one thing which I think.
I have to ask you this one. From here on, I mean, what do you think about magazine advertising? How will it evolve? My final point for you. Yes, my final question.
How will it evolve?
I mean, what will change? How do you see it, say, 2-3 years down the line? Is the brand trust going to grow in magazines?
I think, you know,
as a
so
whole?
whenever I look at magazine or say newspapers, whenever I read this, I'm looking for truth, you know. So that's one thing. So for truth, you know, there's the last protocol. So whatever is written in the magazine is the final truth, you know. So that's what I would go by, because you know everything else is AI driven, and you know whatever, like you said,
In the
AI.
moment, yeah.
So you can't differentiate between truth and what is it? So I will go to magazines for
that
whenever I have to
perspective.
search for truth.
All right, thank you. That was our panel. Thanks for joining us on this conversation. Maybe a round of applause for my speakers. Yes. Take a picture.
Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. A picture, please. And thank you, Rohit, for moderating that. We'll take a minute to clear the stage. You also have something to distribute that will help you create more energy in the room before we begin with the awards. Allow us a moment for that. And if any of your colleagues are outside or around, you can please call them inside as well. सर अवार्ड्स अभी शुरू हैं बस जब तक आप विराजमान होंगे तब तक हम शुरू a minute more, a minute or two, and then we shall be starting. I mean, though you're walking out and asking me, are you allowed? You're not allowed, but you just finished, so we'll give you a breather. We are distributing these lovely whistles, etc. Please make use of them. Let's also welcome the weekend on a happy note. Can someone help me? He's not alone. एक हैंड माइक कैसे करूँगा